I was waiting for Duncan there, but man's got the moves. We are live from the blind spot, ladies and gents. It is the day here at the studio, and well, this is where we break it down. 2 best of 3s. Very quick day, and I do believe Bardolph and is James joining us?
Hello.
Tell you what, listen, we all know the state of the world at the moment, and since it was actually the guys from Cloud9 who brought up the whole boomer angle for the Dig guys, I'm concerned about the health of some of the boomers in this world at the moment, because Dig look terrible.
They look pretty.
Only in the game, obviously, Sean. You know? Outside of the game, they're still reasonably young.
I do think C9 looked pretty good. What do you think?
Yeah.
They looked organized on both maps really well. I mean, their ecos were atrocious.
Yeah, but they had a T-side on both maps.
Yeah, they had strong T-sides on both maps, and I thought their CT side was pretty respectable as well.
They work hard, man. They're hungry. I've played with MOTM before. Like, I know it doesn't matter. Like, he's really focused. And I know people like Floppy as well. Like, they know what opportunity they have, and I think they're young enough to really understand that. So a lot of people who've been here for a while, you know, not Dig, but some other people just like take it in their stride and like whatever, and just like, oh, like all this money. But these guys are working really freaking hard to be the best they can be. So, and you see that when they're just like abusing the simple advantages of the T side much better than Dig.
How sick was that when Floppy shot the kid off the map?
Yeah, that was really awesome. That was genius.
By the way,
nerd chub.
Around they actually didn't even win that bottom round where he was like 1v3 on the
B side.
Yeah,
yeah, when he like angled himself
very
off
well
to
played.
find the one-on-one.
That was awesome.
So sick.
Spatial awareness.
Oof.
And I feel like Sonic is a man with something to prove. I feel like ever since I called him out, I called him out on that day one. Ever since then, yeah, he's been on a roll, man. He's been on a tear.
Well, welcome, Dan. We're gathering thoughts on Cloud9 right now.
It's a cool little setup. I hear you built this.
Yeah, last bar in town. So,
Nice.
welcome.
The last one.
The last one.
Awesome. I think I missed all the pre-game, the discussion of the game there. So
no, it's just
like
we
coming
were talking
in,
about
no
Cloud9.
context.
Some of the players were impressing. I mean,
yeah.
I have to say though, one factor that didn't carry over is when you watched them online when they were playing with Holzerk, the other guy who was doing well was Get Right online. He wasn't that good in this series though.
Yeah, I don't really know what to take away from Dig, because I think they looked respectable in this series. I don't really have many critical things to say of them. They have a stand-in, so you can't expect them to play perfect Counter-Strike. And Train isn't a map that they even want to play with their full team right now. So it's so hard to be critical of a team using a stand-in.
Yeah, I felt like the T side here was quite glaring as well, where Guardian was just left to lurk, and it's like it kind of, I think Cloud9 figured out roughly what was going on. That felt a bit obvious. That they just always had Guardian lurking, and they just got more and more aggressive as they realized what they could exploit, basically. So I think it was a really hard spot, especially because he's standing there while they're all speaking Swedish as well. So
Yeah.
That's always going to be the rough one, isn't it?
It's where like 80% of that guy's career is him just sat looking down an Orb's crosshairs while people just speaking in no language he doesn't understand near him, and he's just like, land a shot, big guy.
it's like solo queue.
Just someone in Russian, someone in Swedish, just zoned in the whole time. It's not like me when I play Pogs. I just mute all the Russians. I have to keep the AWP. The actual saddest thing I always said about Matchmaker was when they showed you teammate how much money you've got, because I used to just lie. They'd be like, you have money for one of it. No, I was like, it was the dream.
You do learn like the 2 words, right? Well, I guess 3 technically. So everybody up, and then you also know Harosh. And that's all you need to know, because Harosh means good, and then obviously the other one. And so they do something good. You're like, Harosh, good job.
I haven't heard that one before.
You haven't heard that one?
Many good things.
Not playing
Sean
EU
only
enough,
hears
man.
the Sika Bliat.
That EU
There
solo
it is.
queue. That EU solo queue is something else.
OC putting in work.
Did you notice that OC did use the AWP one time, I think, on the CT side? It's definitely by design. He's playing mid. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, it was mainly Sonic, wasn't it?
Yeah, they use their numbers really well, Cloud9. Like, they were all on the same, very much on the same page. But it's a hard spot for Dig. I want to, hopefully see them eventually when the whole team is here, because it's like that T side was really rough on Vertigo.
And I do got to point out on Dig's side of things, at least it seems like their communication is something that's a positive for them. I mean, really, there was a lot of instances and a lot of rounds where it came down to the wire. Dignitas were in a position where they were at a disadvantage, a man down, but somehow, some way, they were able to clutch out those rounds. So the late rounds are looking good for Dig. It's just those beginning rounds.
The analysis this was all legit. I was just laughing at the way you're holding the mic, the way that like when they're gonna like sing like a serenade, like
Oh, did I look like? Oh my god.
you had it sort of in that, yeah. You had that in that sort of angle. You know?
Everybody else here, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was about to sing. Yep.
Do you guys feel like Cloud9 has like a hard ceiling, by the way? Because for me, I see what they do. You know, they've been a team for ages.
Yes.
Under ATK to this team, and it's like what they do looks really clean, and when it works, it looks really good. But I feel like any team that's actually a seasoned top 16 team should be able to outbeat them, and the mechanics will be just overpowering and so on. Like, do you think that they will be able to step up?
This is
MTM
something
here, like actually,
basically me and Sean were talking about during the match, which is actually, might sound mad, but that's one of the things that makes me not have much faith in them as a team, is that I like watched them when they were ATK, and they already had like the real playbook. They already had real tactics. They were running executes. They had their map pool in players. They know what roles. So the problem is like, what is there left to change? So the real issue I have is the raw skill level of the team isn't good enough to make all those things really effective. Like if they had a couple of like top 20 players in the world, they might be able to do some real damage with the actual team they've got. Sure. But with at the moment, it's like if you've maxed out everything else, where do you improve beyond this? Except experience, basically.
Yeah, I do feel like the level that they've reached, they probably can maybe break into like the bottom half of the top 10, right? They're never going to be that top 5 team with this lineup, but they're very well stratted, and they're a good oiled machine right now. But yeah, the skill like probably lacking a little bit.
who would you change if you had to make a couple of changes? What would you do?
The coach is sitting there right now, just going. If he's listening to you guys, he's like,
the problem is this: is like again, it should be raw for raw. Like one of the problems the guys when they used to be NIP used to run into is they kept a lot of players who weren't as good at their star player role and just replaced the other people. So like even though he just top fragged now, I do think Orsi's a bit overrated. Like I don't think he's that good in AWP. I'd rather replace him. But I also look at the rest of the team. That's the problem. Is right now there's no obvious player. Like okay, on paper Floppy's the best player, but still got some issues on LAN. Would you replace him? Probably not. He's the potential. Sonic is pretty good, but he's played long enough. I don't know if he's going to get better. I feel like the only players who I actually think the Motum guy actually suits his role. He seems like a pretty decent entry. Does his job.
I think it really depends on how this team levels up against, the upper echelon teams that they play on LAN in the future, right? Because we don't know. We haven't seen them play enough of the top teams at big LANs. And once you do and you see how they lose, you'll find where the holes on this team are. Right now, it's hard to see, right? Because they have their in-game leader in the middle, JT, OC, their Opper, and then their 3-star players all are putting up numbers whenever we watch them. So there's no clear holes right now, but that would probably be evident if they played Astralis like 10 times.
Yeah, I think one thing they've got going for them is, again, like just the work ethic they all have. I think even if you replace one of the players, if the person who comes in doesn't work as hard as these guys do, then I think it's going to cause problems. Like we had some people have been replaced on teams. I'll keep it anonymous because, like, instead of just watching demos and stuff, they're just sitting there smoking weed and just being a stoner, basically, right?
I hasn't narrowed that down at all.
Yeah, so...
What was he doing looking at my Airbnb while I was practicing on a weekend shot?
So he needs to find the right tools for the job as well.
There we go.
well, where are we taking this as far as Dig is concerned? I mean, is this just... They are now in the bottom half of the bracket. They are facing elimination from the phase. You got some...
FPX.
You got FunPlus down there waiting for him in Orglis as well. Neither of those teams are pushovers in their own right. So, I mean, it's not going to get any easier here for Dig.
Yeah, this is a really tough spot Dig finds himself in. I mean, here's the bracket right here. They won 2-1 against Orglis. So Orglis isn't a pushover, right? They don't have a team, but they still practice a shit ton, and they're living together right now. So by no means, even if they come through that FPX match, is that a given. But FPX, you would heavily favor them in the Dig match if they get through Orglis.
Yeah. They
have such a solid map pool. And they lost to this Cloud9 team that looks really, really good today. Yeah, you have to realize as well, that's also the downside for Dig in terms of this group, is FPX is the other team you're going to probably have to play. Does real tactics and in theory have their roles set. Like, if you were the guys from Dig, if anything wanted to go against the context of the world, people were just going to pog with you, play a bit of aim map, and then maybe you have a good performance. But I'm not really feeling this group for them. I think they're going to finish third. Yeah, and that's what I was talking about on the desk before we went into that, right? The map pools don't really suit Dig. I mean, they're banning Mirage and their puggy team right now with a stand-in offer. So they're in kind of the group of death as far as I'm concerned for them. I feel for Guardian as well. Imagine having to play Vertical when you're not speaking the language and you're a stand-in. You're not even supposed to be there full time. Like, that's got to be fun. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure they changed Vertigo after he stepped out, right? Of Navi. They changed it one more time. It was around that
And he's
time
been on
frame.
hiatus. That's the
Yeah.
thing. We're
he
not
was
even
playing on
sure.
Navi at the start of the year, and I think he might have played a little bit of the new Vertigo.
Okay.
But yeah, he probably doesn't have that much practice on the map, so interesting for Dig to pick it. They must be practicing it with him.
So, I mean, we'll end the speculation there, at least as far as, like, must be practicing, etc. And we'll take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll get to start discussing, looking forward to what we have to come this week. So we are back, and we are going to be looking at what's coming tomorrow. And we're going to bring up the bracket now, too, to hop on that. Because, of course, 2 best-of-3s. It's all best-of-3 here at Flashpoint. And, well, we'll be kicking it off with Mad Lions versus the Copenhagen Flames. Some Dane-on-Dane action.
Yeah, and you probably favor Mad Lions in that, but Copenhagen Flames lately has had some pretty surprising results. They took out FPX actually online for the minor qualifier, which is now how many minors in a row that FPX hasn't even been able to make? I mean, it's their curse.
It's crazy.
They talked about it as a curse on Twitter, so that's definitely has upset written all over it. Domestic matchup, Dane-on-Dane action, that'll be fun.
And it's online, so you have to throw that element in as well. So if you're the Copenhagen Flames guys, should be even more impetus to have a good game.
Yeah.
I think Copenhagen Flames as well are actually pretty impressive. I think they're still like figuring out how to put everything together, but they actually remind me a little bit of when we first saw Fallen bring the Brazilians over. It was like a very tactical team. You could see that was their focus, strategy, tactics. They had a lot of players that if you looked at that team at that moment, you wouldn't have thought, oh, these guys could actually be some of the best individual players in the world. Obviously, that ended up happening many, many months later. But I feel like this team is still finishing, putting the tactical and strategic infrastructure in, and then eventually when they find that comfort, I actually think they may, because they're all like really young players, I feel like they might actually be able to kind of explode individually and like develop into a very strong team. So I have my eyes on them for that, because I've seen some really good and smart stuff from them.
Would you see them as a team a real threat here in the tournament? I mean, talked about that about the analysts.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten really the commentator side on that.
Personally, for me, I'm not sure what the timeframes will be for that, but I think they're still in the early stages. But I think they're going to be dangerous to anyone. Like if you watch them on Nuke, sometimes they do like some really smart stuff with the way they build their defaults and the levels of detail. They actually really get the game. It's just I think getting that routine to have that individual freedom at a later stage, and I don't know if that's going to take months if they'll be able to do it in this Flashpoint or if it will be Flashpoint 2 or not. But definitely keep your eyes on them. I think
it definitely brought Contact Gaming into this group, which they then lost to. So
True.
They might be very smart in-game, but that was a huge mistake. I don't know, because now they find themselves going up against the highest ranked team in the event to get knocked out. So.
Yes, if we've learned one thing over the last few weeks, it's avoid contact in all cases.
Oh my God.
Yes, indeed.
I think CPH are definitely like another team who are like young and focused, and I think if they stuck together, it's probably too long a timeline, but for like 2 years, I think like to see them mature would be so interesting. But in the shorter term, I would favour them
for 2 years.
I just think like
That seems like a bit of a that's a timeline.
I know. But like in the short term, I think that there's more damage for them to do. I don't think they're gonna like win the thing, but I think they could definitely send a few teams packing, that boat back to Europe at this point.
Boat.
Yeah, I'm definitely way happy with.
Getting on boats anytime soon.
I'm way happy with them than the Mad Lions thing, like moving out and getting it. I'm just not sold on that at all yet. So I'd rather just go with CPH Flames though, just because of that very fact.
The whole tournament does feel wide open right now, though.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone's putting a lot of stock into Copenhagen Flames, and I'm just expecting Lions to come out tomorrow and spank them. So I don't know. I'm not seeing what you guys are seeing on the Copenhagen.
They definitely should. They should spank them, but yeah.
I
see promise. I see hope.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's a domestic derby. We've seen Bubsky really take those domestic derbies personally, I feel like, and I think he's going to come out tomorrow and just destroy.
Okay, and what about our other match? Because I mean, we do have 2 best of 3s, and actually, can we bring up the bracket again? Just take a look, or bring up our schedule for tomorrow. But we do have a second best of 3, and Chaos is on one of them, and unfortunately, Chaos has had to. Well, they've sent Smooya home. He's on the bench, so that's one of their key players.
That's a huge loss. He was a clutch man for them, game after game.
Yeah, that's a huge loss for Chaos. I think they're bringing Voltage, who's an MDL player that has really good stats, actually. I think he has like a 1.13 rating on HLTV right now. So he's a good opper, but he probably hasn't played at a high enough level to, take Smooya's place yet. I mean, he's going to be rough around the edges, probably going to die in places where he shouldn't due to inexperience. But he definitely has flashes of brilliance, and his aim is phenomenal.
A lot more pressure on Steel's shoulders. I mean, we just spoke about how vocal Smooya has been since he's joined this lineup, but we know how strong Steel is as utilizing his players and finding some star potential. So hopefully he's able to get something together, but with as short notice as we've had, it's certainly going to be a huge challenge for Chaos.
Luckily, though, since we're not playing the studio, they don't lose the actual element that like Smooya was trying to banter. Like that actually is irrelevant now. So on a lower sense, that's not as big a deal. The problem is he was the best player of the team. Come on.
I think that he did a lot as far as the maintaining the team spirit as well. You could hear we even have the clips of him as well. Going like one round left, guys. Screech, and then
don't be shit, guys.
Exactly, but he was trying to get it done. He's trying to rally the troops, and that takes a little bit of that pressure off of Steel's shoulders. Like you say, now Steel's gonna even have to worry about that. Is he gonna have somebody to rally, like a Stewie for Liquid, or seems like a Smooya for Chaos, right? Does he have somebody that can push the team?
Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? They might be better with Voltage sending in just because they'll have 4 people that will fully buy into Steel's system. Smooya's the type of player that will go outside of the system and look for picks because he's skilled enough to do that, right? He's able to get picks, and Steel probably trusts him enough to fall back into the system when he needs to. Voltage is the type of player where he should be in Steel's system at all times because he's so inexperienced. So maybe that actually benefits them a little bit.
Okay.
Yet to be seen.
That's a good point.
If you want another voice on the team, why don't you just get Dace back in there? No one likes that idea.
It was an all right joke, but you said it like it was real analysis. That's the problem. So we were all just like, I don't think that's a good move, actually, Dan. I would recommend not doing that. So, it wasn't a bad joke, though. It wasn't bad. Yeah,
He's
not bad.
posting cat pics on Twitter these days.
All right, well, guys, thank you so much for joining me here in the blind spot. That's going to be it for us here today. And, of course, we'll be back tomorrow, guys, on the stream right here. 2 best of 3s. You saw the schedule, and we'll be right here on the stream. So see you then.